Hello and welcome to Wildlife Cam. It's been quite a busy week, as you might have noticed from the length of the video, and there was a hell of a lot I had to cut out, so this makes up for some of the quieter weeks we've had recently. The Dacre will tolerate one jackal, but two is one too many. The reason why the videos of the waterhole since I got the new camera are so quiet is that the camera doesn't record audio by default. You actually have to switch it on. And it took me just the 2 weeks to realize that there was no sound. There were 6 lions here. This was very close to the waterhole, about 30 meters to the south of it. And we were woken up at about 2 a.m. They were very noisy. And then number 7 arrived a couple of hours later. So the group was 3 young males, a young female, and then the 3 adult lionesses. So it was one of the litters of 4 that was born about 3 years ago, and they've all survived. We went for a couple of drives on Saturday, mostly looking for birds, and we found this one, the lilac-breasted roller, one of the most photogenic birds that we have around here. This is one of the migrant eagles, quite a small eagle. They arrive in October normally. And we made our way down to the Olifants River, where we found this herd of elephants enjoying a very relaxing Saturday morning. And after the mud bath, it was time to lie down in the nice, soft, warm sand. You do see elephants lying like this from time to time, but I don't think I've ever seen so many of them sleeping all together. And a short distance away, this guy was having the best time all by himself.
Yep. That's stuck, is she?
And while we were watching the elephants, this martial eagle landed in the tree right above us, so we had to drive back a bit just to get a decent view. So it's Africa's largest eagle. Very impressive bird, and they'll eat animals up to the size of small antelope. At first it looked like this little crombec was eating the ants that were walking up and down the twig. Now this isn't sped up, that's the normal speed. So when you zoom in and slow it down, you can see it's flinging the ants off into space. So these are cocktail ants, and like most ants they release a fairly noxious chemical, so I guess the bird just didn't like that. So I think it's going for the insects that are attracted to the flowers, little flies and bees and the like, but just not ants. One of our smallest owls, and the one that's most likely to be active during the day. Then this big guy arrived on Saturday night. Quite a well-known elephant here with his distinctive one large left tusk. And he was here to relax. He came in on Saturday night and moseyed off on Monday morning. So the pattern for him on Sunday was to come down to the waterhole for half an hour or even more, and then stroll up and do some low-level browsing before coming back down to the waterhole. Very relaxing Sunday for him. It would have been better if the camera was recording sound, but I did fix that this morning eventually. And he did spend quite a lot of time just standing around. I think he was napping. And he brought some food with him down to the waterhole. That's a root that he's holding so carefully in his trunk there, and then eventually just flings it away. And then he had a crack at the baobab tree that the camera's attached to, but it's just inside the fence, so the best he could do was reach up to some of the very small lower branches, which wasn't good enough for him. He had better luck with the pod mahogany. Now, he's not interested in the leaves, he was just taking the bark, but there were some animals, the impala and the duiker, that would come and eat the leaves. So handy for them to have something like an elephant to bring some greenery down for them. So back on Monday morning, he just stopped for a quick bite to eat and then a quick drink at the waterhole before moving off with purpose. So I guess it's back to work after his day off. And the male red-headed weaver clearing out the acacia leaves from around the nest. There's a few theories as to why they do that. One is to make it more difficult for predators like snakes to sneak up to the nest. Also to make the nest more visible and impressive to females. And the third reason is it's a displacement activity if the male is stressed out when the female rejects the nest. So displacement activity is when an animal does something familiar in a stressful situation, like when humans smoke cigarettes or eat when they're stressed. He has been working on both nests. I don't know if he's hedging his bets. Didn't see this much during winter, but now that it's summer and the water is warm, we can get the morning hyena swims. And then an unexpected visit on yesterday morning. I was looking at the camera notifications, and when I switched back to the live view, there were some lions. There were 6 of them in this group eventually, the 2 big males and 4 females. 2 males were missing brother number 3. He's the one we normally see that seems to have the most success with the lionesses, with a black patch on his upper lip. Now, I'm not sure what they'd been doing, but one of the males had a very full belly, and none of the others did, so he got the lion's share of whatever they'd been eating. And the bushbuck is in for a nasty surprise. No harm done, and then the lions chased off after something else, but I think they missed whatever it was. They didn't all go, and they came back pretty quickly. So they spend most of the day just under the bushes behind the waterhole, and then late in the afternoon they moved off a little distance away. And that's Carl in the background there, not afraid of lions. The lionesses had moved off by this stage, not too far away, but the males were extremely lethargic, and it took a bit more motivation for them to get going. Sneaky jackal on the right hand side there, coming for a closer look. This guy wasn't in great condition. He's quite thin, missed out on whatever meal the other one had. Also, his front right paw was injured, so he had a bit of a limp. And eventually this guy got up and moved over to the rest of the group. He was mating with one of the females, so they ended up spending the night all close to the waterhole while the others moved off somewhere else. And then an elephant pitched up in the middle of everything. The lions weren't too far off, and I guess they didn't encounter each other because once the elephant was gone, the lions came back to the waterhole. So they were mating around once every 15 minutes, which is normal for lions. I'm not going to show everyone, you get the idea, but you can also understand why the males get so tired. The jackal's quite comfortable with the male being there, but as soon as the lioness puts her head up, off it goes. So by morning the lions had moved off closer to the house. You can see the impala are staring over there, alarm calling, but at least they got to have a drink. Thanks for watching.